Well, good evening and welcome along to Business Today. Hope you are fine. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Wins and Nakauchi on for the sign language interpretation. But now let's get right on to what we have for you in regards to your daily report. Now, speaking of which, we start with export promotion, as the Uganda Manufacturers Association and the Free Zones Authority have joined forces following a memorandum of understanding to seize opportunities grounded in the multi-million free zones. Now, obviously, this strategic partnership aims to create a conducive environment for businesses to thrive, attract more investment, and ultimately enhance job creation. Bronia Katosime reports.
Uganda Manufacturers Association, with its over 1,500 membership, has partnered with the Uganda Free Zones Authority to exploit opportunities in export-oriented free zones and ports. The multi-sector investments, open to 80% export-oriented investors, are currently of critical interest, and the collaboration between two parties intends to foster a robust export-oriented ecosystem that will eventually drive economic growth and job creation.
How are we going to compete with the Ghanaians who have uptime in their Tema industrial zone, Tema free zone, of 99.7% of electricity, okay, and they're not using thermal generators because it's a government policy that we shall not put thermal generators in our industrial zones, but we shall ensure that there is higher uptime. So with you buying a diesel, with you buying a generator of up to probably $100,000, how are you going to compete? So this is where free zones comes in.
As industrialists in this country, the tangency with the free zones, I would say, agenda helps us majorly in two ways. One, it helps us to diversify our market, the scope of our market. The industries that we have in the region are almost all producing homogeneous goods, for those who pick on it. Homogeneous, you'll find that what we produce in Uganda is what Kenyans are producing, is almost with what Tanzania is producing at regional level. But when you advance this kind of approach, it helps you to produce for a market beyond the region.
With a possible $6.9 billion revenue from exports still a possibility as per the authority, specialized export-oriented zones are being driven to provide an array of benefits for manufacturers and exporters. These zones will feature state-of-art infrastructure, tax incentives, streamlined customs processes, and access to world-class logistics services. There is still a provision to engage foreign companies, trade missions, and investors to showcase the vast opportunities available to attract foreign investors.
We want to use this collaboration to create awareness, even for the existing manufacturers, to take up this opportunity, especially those that are venturing into exporting. So we know that through this collaboration, we will be able to market, create awareness, and use the networks, both the central networks, but also the regional networks that UMA, or Uganda Manufacturers Association, already has, to reach out to the country in all regions, to tell them that this opportunity is there. It has been in existence since 2014.
As Uganda remains a signatory to major regional markets such as COMESA, the growing industry banks on utilizing market strategies such as free zones to harness openings projected in border markets such as the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. This evident by the Free Zones Annual Report for financial year 2021-2022, where investments rose by 9% to $644.76 million from $586.28 million in financial year 2020-2021. These were driven by capital expenditures on plant and machinery, equipment, land acquisition, factory buildings, and civil works. Bronia Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right. Now, away from that, moving on, we look at ensuring Uganda's hydrocarbons. Ensuring Uganda's oil and gas development has been a walk in the park for the local players, despite achieving $32 million in local insurance contracts. Now, the concern remains in regard to the capacity of local insurers to handle the broad risk. Now, when you look at these contracts, and rising premiums are among a catalogue of key issues that undermine investor confidence as developments such as the challenging refinery characterize the big task at hand. We have details.
The Petroleum Authority of Uganda has reported that oil revenue accounted for approximately 0.5% of the country's GDP in 2020-2021 fiscal year. The contribution is expected to rise to 3 to 5% of the GDP in the next 3 years as additional oil fields become operational. In light of this significant revenue potential, the Insurance Regulatory Authority is urging its licensees to actively participate in the oil and gas industry by offering coverage and settling claims of policyholders. To bolster the growth of local insurance in the oil and gas industry, there is a need to work towards reducing high premiums to ensure affordability and enhance investor trust. By addressing these issues, the local insurance sector can thrive in tandem with the expanding oil and gas industry.
Gone on a number of platforms, and I want to ask you a question: if the stakeholders that are involved in the oil and gas actually have the confidence in our consortium, because you find other platforms where we have to push walls to tell them we actually have a consortium and we are willing to take on these risks. So most of them think it is better for them to insure from their indigenous companies other than the Ugandan industry, because I don't know if the confidence is not still there, or we need to do a lot of preaching the gospel to them to understand that we can actually handle some of the.
Again, our insurers actually have the capacity to underwrite those risks. It might not be all the risk, but we have the capacity to underwrite part of that risk, and they've been able to actually underwrite that risk under ICOGU. That is the Insurance Consortium of Oil and Gas in Uganda. They've been able to underwrite various risks, and so far you've been informed about the amount of money that has actually been underwritten in those policies. So yes, we faced those challenges. It was really a mindset change for the international oil companies to also understand that we have the capacity and the capability here. So in terms of the other challenge might have been this is a new industry, and of course you have the teething problems in terms of capacity, human resource capacity, and other types of capacity challenges. But as IRA, that is something that is top of mind, and we are moving very, like I said, the insurance industry is very highly regulated, and that regulation is intentional to ensure that our players have the capacity to underwrite the risks, but also to ensure stability of the insurance industry. So we have actually a regulatory framework on minimum and maximum rates for each of these insurance lines of businesses. And those are available on our website. So it's just a matter of awareness of these regulations, that there are actually minimum rates beyond which our players cannot go. They cannot go below these rates. So the service providers and those that are coming in to get insurance, to interact with the insurance industry must know that there are those minimum rates. So when they come to you and say, this is what we are willing to give, it is actually has been benchmarked against those minimum rates, and they've also, of course, put a margin for themselves as business players. So for us, it's not a worry, because else everywhere.
The local firms in the oil and gas consortium must be aware of significant risks involved, including operator extra expenses, liability, construction, political violence, terrorism, sabotage, delay in startup, operation interruptions, and production risks. An example highlighting the magnitude of these risks is the BP Gulf of Mexico oil spill in 2010, where 134 million gallons of oil spilled into the ocean. The ongoing cost of the spill, which is estimated at $65 billion, is still being paid by the company and is expected to rise further in the future.
Comes to sharing, because there is what they call the hour of need. This is the hour of need. I should say it. I don't want you to defend. I have seen their explanations. When the hour of need comes, he gave very ambiguous statements. When the hour of need came, he jumped out of us. When the hour of opportunity comes, please don't pass your business cards around. If possible, please chase that person out of your pool. Because this is the hour of need. We are sitting up, someone is cutting. Then one of us is also joining those people with very funny, ambiguous. I will not be shy on that. We are aware of that person at the hour of need. What I need to assure you is we are going to move. Why? As I've indicated, the project financing is almost 90%. Because if you want 15 billions and you have 13, you're looking for 2. The noise zone is on the 2. And even
Ali Sekatawa, the Director Legal and Corporate Affairs at the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, strongly admonished certain insurance companies that have exhibited malicious and treacherous behavior in their approach towards facilitating the progress of the oil and gas industry. He further stated that the local insurance companies such as MASH Uganda Limited, in association with MASH Africa Pite, Jubilee, UAP Mutual, and others have been awarded contracts totaling $32 million, and he reassured Ugandans that 90% of the project's financing has been secured, while emphasizing a suitable replacement will be found for the expired oil refinery contract with the Albertine Graben Energy Consortium.
The upstream financing, close to 10 billion, is already secured. ECOP, the equity, is already procured. In terms of the loan, almost concluded, because work for ECOP is already ongoing despite any noise you're hearing. In respect to the refinery, yes, we've had almost 3 years, 4 with the consortium which expired, whose contract expired, but as noted by government, we are now looking for new financiers for the project. But in terms of the work, the fundamental work of the project, the environmental studies, the feed, and so on, were all completed. So in terms of the confidence, whether the project is moving, yes, it is moving.
Britam, along with other 20 local firms, notified the Oil and Gas Consortium its withdrawal from the financing of the East African crude oil pipeline project, which amounted to $5 billion. However, oil and gas is still positioned as a catalyst of Uganda's development. Data reveals that through national content initiatives, small and medium enterprises have already established connections with around 200 small businesses operating within the ECOP districts. Ronan Nahabwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, many thanks, Ronan Nahabwe, for that report. Moving further, the Trade Ministry is still attending to the 5 billion shillings, a supplementary budget misappropriation, and currently HEAT has forced officials to vacate the office. The Parliamentary Committee on Trade has today handed over the office attendant, Mr. Tom Opio, to the Criminal Investigations Department following the denial of participations in shoddy procurement. Now, on the other hand, Mrs. Geraldine Sally, the Permanent Secretary and attendant's boss, has on the other hand denied accusations, confirming that she was simply saving the ministry a fortune on rent. Samla Hanifa has details relating to the Trade Ministry graft and scandals.
Fresh investigations into the misappropriation of the supplementary budget for rental space of Ministry of Trade resumed Monday this week, with all witnesses crucifying the accounting officer, Mrs. Geraldine Sally, for responsibility of allocating the 5 billion shillings, currently an unresolved contested topic.
Mr. Everest there told us Ministry of Works did BOQs for renovation at 3.1 billion. He entered these details into the system at 3.1 billion. Later, they came to him with a document to sign showing, and after he entered the documents of 3.1, he started the process of bidding to look for a contractor to do this work at 3.1 billion. Later, they brought a document to him to sign of 6.2 billion.
Financial year was coming to an end, and we had money on our account. The balance was 4.8 billion. Now, when we reached towards the end, the PS instructed me to make a payment to the supplier. Then I told her that, Madam, it is not allowed. We can only make a payment when we do a rate of credit.
The committee requested the office attendant, Mr. Opio Tom, to explain why he involved himself in the procurement process, business that's outside his docket. This was met with denial. Consequently, the committee resolved to have Mr. Opio taken on for investigation by the CID.
Giving more details on camera.
The name, he just talked
the
about
name.
the name.
Chair, are we proceeding well if we let him go without completing his submission as suggested?
I think we know the accounting officer, and these staff want to protect themselves. Maybe from harassment at work after they leave this committee. It depends on what the members wish. Do you want us to compel? You know the accounting officer is Geraldine Sally?
In a similar line of inquest, the accounting officer Geraldine Sally, through a media briefing, informed the country that the trade committee is basically telling lies about her. She confirms about simply diverting the money to save the ministry a fortune on rent.
I wanted to make sure that the general public is brought to speed in the correct way, because I felt it was unfair for the public to receive the information the way it was given to Parliament. I believe that someone is actually misinforming our Ministry of our Trade Committee of Parliament, and I have no reason why they're doing it. I don't know, but for me, I have a position which is the position of the Ministry. I'm the Chief Technical Officer, and for that reason, I will try and give as much information as possible just to clear the air so that the taxpayer and the general public are assured that we are giving them value for money and we are doing our best.
According to Mrs. Sally, the allegation of 400 million as cost to move office items is untrue, because in her recollection, only 59 million was used for the purpose.
Changed my mind, and I decided to go onto the platform of the permanent secretaries, and I asked if any of my colleagues had space. Luckily, in 1 second, Ms. Irene Batebe from the Ministry of Energy replied me, and she said she has some office premises in Entebbe where she can give me for space, because they were not about to occupy that building. So instead of going upstairs to save all the records there, we just hired transport. She said, well, the transport costs are yours, and then we decided to take the records. So those are the records, and I also have a few documents I will share with you. You will see that the costs of transporting those records to Entebbe came to 59.3 million. It included fuel, it included hiring the people who were collecting all the records from each office.
The committee, on the other hand, has vowed to get to the bottom of the matter and enforce reparation for the damage. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now away from that, we look at the fintechs denouncing the social media tax. Fintechs have openly opposed government's move to slap tax on foreign digital companies such as Facebook and Google, claiming their online businesses are likely to be absorbed. This follows President Museveni's refusal to assent to the income tax amendment bill and instead rebounded to Parliament for review, citing need to induce the tax component on foreign digital companies into the bill. Pedison Mumbere reports.
In April, the Ministry of Finance proposed adding a new tax clause 16 to the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2023 and impose a 5% withholding tax on digital services targeting tech giants like Amazon, Facebook and Google, but later withdrew the proposal. Upon being passed, it was previously returned to Parliament for review to induce the earlier proposal on imposing tax on digital companies.
From provision of digital services in Uganda was rejected by Parliament. The measure was meant to cater for taxation of digital economy such as Twitter, Amazon, Netflix, etc. The clause related to non-residents and non-residents in Uganda, since it does not relate to residents in Uganda, as was mistakenly stated in the minority report, it should be reinstated.
To the fintech ecosystem, the move hasn't been welcomed on faith that it's bound to submerge the already fragile ecosystem already challenged by capital, taxes, among other factors.
Some taxes come to sabotage business. If we were empowered, if there was a way to empower fintechs to use technology to make money, and then we are taxed on our end, that would be a better thing for us, because we'll have made the money to be taxed. But if we are being taxed when we make money, and our guys who are helping us make money also being taxed, somehow we'll be suffocated midway because...
Like I mentioned, I'm not an expert at taxation, but the little I know is that taxation sometimes, if not well thought about, hinders growth. When big players like Google and Facebook are blocked from playing easily in an environment, then what is a small player going to do?
Although many of the stakeholders that appeared before Parliament's Finance Committee raised concern on how the tax would be imposed, government urged that Uganda Revenue Authority has administrative measures to implement the clause on the multinational companies. Innocent Kawaya, a fintech and financial inclusion expert, notes that anything in regard to taxation should involve all stakeholders.
I mean, some people are going to even just be scared of innovating because they think if Google is failing to play here, then who am I to play? So those examples and those decisions that are being made in regards to taxation should be all-inclusive. They should include all stakeholders. We should all be able to deliberate and share our views about what we think is the best position for government to win and also its people to win.
Of the social media platforms, of course, it's one hell of an idea that is really going to ruin businesses and at the same time also going to affect our service delivery. One, we have tried to create an atmosphere whereby clients can easily access the doctor from the comfort of wherever they are.
While presenting the report to the Finance Committee of Parliament, concern over implementation was raised, claiming that because the targeted digital companies are non-resident, government lacks jurisdiction and this would affect implementing the tax, despite other tax bodies in the region having approved the same tax. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now we return with more Business Today immediately after the break, so stick around with us. Smart 24, driving business.
These days, our homes are no longer just the places we live. It's where we attend meetings, go to class, keep each other safe, and entertain ourselves. To do this smoothly, you need a reliable internet connection. Buy the MTN WakaNet router, which connects up to 32 devices and gets a free 40 GB data bundle at only 149,000 shillings. Or buy the MTN WakaNet MiFi at only 75,000 shillings and enjoy a free 15 GB bundle to stream, study, work, and play on the go. Visit any MTN service center to buy the MTN WakaNet router or MiFi and enjoy the internet that does amazing things.
Waliwo abagamba nti okuyiiya emizannyo si muzannyo. Olina okwewaayo n'okukkiririza ennyo mu kyoyiiya. Olina okubaayo n'omuntu akuyambako. Naye olowooza omuntu ng'ekyo kimuli mu musaayi ebyo bimulya. Anti aba yazaalibwa kukola ekyo. Tega Pearl Magic Prime ne Pearl Magic Loco. njagala ng'oyungiddwako olabe engero zaffe ennyuvu nga bikoleddwa mu ngeri eyaffe ey'ekinnansi.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste of Uganda.
Luxury redefined at Seasand Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasand Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasand Hotels, luxury redefined.
Smart 24, driving business. All right, we'll be back from the break, and now we've turned our eyes to diversifying fisheries. The fisheries community in Buyikwe district has welcomed government's initiative on diversifying income. The financial support has been availed to up livelihoods through alternative agriculture and unbound reliance on the hotly contested fisheries sector. A transformational program has thus been effected to enable the troubled fishermen harness secondary economic activities. We have details.
Following a series of crises over arrests and demolition of unworthy fishing gear across Lake Victoria and other water bodies, fisheries communities are being pushed to readjust and diversify economic activities. Buyikwe is currently one of the largest developments in light of the efforts from the government.
We are here as the State House together with different stakeholders to help our people in the fishing communities to come up with other alternative income generating activities like apiary, livestock.
Resistance to the transition has, however, been noticeable as youths and the old are hesitant to embrace other economic generating activities such as farming. United Nations Industrial Development Organization's country representative, Bruno Otto, expressed commitment to the transition, realizing how constrained the community is. Value addition and skilling, for example, have been considered to support the initiative.
And our coming is here is to listen to different stakeholders and see what within our mandate we can bring on board so as to create an alternative income source of income. As again I said, how is basically about value addition. And value addition is not restricted about to fisheries or to fish, but we also want to know what are the others. So basically here, we are here to take stock of what and how can we participate in supporting the community to diversify their livelihood. And we are here to listen. We have not come with an agenda, but we want to see that we can be able to constructively engage with the different stakeholders and bring the expertise that we have as far as industrialization is concerned into the fore of solving the community problem here.
Agriculture has thus been fronted as a clear pathway to economic diversification in the community to unburden reliance on the blue economy. Esther Nondo, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
For Business Today, and many thanks for joining us wherever you've been catching us from. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Buyinza Nakauchi on for the sign language interpretation. You are reminded that tomorrow is the African Integration Day, and you'll definitely be getting our live broadcast from Smart 24 television, so make sure that you catch up with everything Africa integration. We wish you all the best for the evening from the entire newsroom, editorial and production here at Plot 42 Nile Avenue. Good night.